This was a remarkable quarter. Do you anticipate, in terms of just, is this a straight line in the same direction, you think, for the rest of the year?
Well, good morning, Andrew, and great to be on with you. Thanks for having me. Look, I think the backdrop to our results this morning is clearly the what's happening in Ukraine and the Russian attack on Ukraine, and obviously a real tragedy for people on the ground, and obviously the impact on energy prices and the cost of living crisis for many people around the world. And that's, you'll have seen our results take into account the financial impact of our decision. We took that decision to leave Russia within about 96 hours, so a large non-cash write-off there this morning. The business is performing well. Operations are strong. Trading had a very good quarter, and our convenience business, actually, Andrew, had its best first quarter in history. So is it a straight line for the rest of the year? It all depends on what the outlook for the environment is. At the end of the day, we concentrate on trying to run the business as best we can, and right now it's running very, very well. And that's what's allowed us to announce that $2.5 billion share buyback this morning.
When policymakers ask you about your own decision to get out of Russia and whether sanctions should be applied in terms of how the EU should approach this, you tell them what?
Well, I think there's been broad support for, certainly from our shareholders and from governments with the decision that we took. We were, I think, the first company to announce a decision to exit Russia, and certainly at this scale. So broad support for what we have done. Our job is to provide the world with the energy that it needs, and that's what we have been doing each and every day, and have been for a long, long time, but even more so in the last several months. We've seen probably, Andrew, the greatest volatility that we've seen in history in many ways in the energy markets in the first quarter. And our job is to make sure that the system rebalances, that the system flows. We're working hard to remove Russian molecules from our system. We're doing that. And at the same time, we're working with governments, as you quite rightly say, because governments have to balance how do they get Russian molecules out of their system, while at the same time making sure that they have security of supply for their people and their economies. And that's what we try to help them do.
There are going to be calls, as I know you know, in the UK and maybe around the world for windfall taxes on these type of earnings. To the extent there are policymakers watching you now on that front, you tell them what?
Well, look, if I look at it here in the UK, where the topic is hotly debated, first of all, it's obviously a decision for governments. The second thing I would say, Andrew, is that it's only 15 months ago that we announced our biggest loss in history because of low oil prices. So we're here today with high oil prices. I think the question becomes, what do we do with the profits? And we do three things with the profits. Number one, we reward our shareholders, both through a dividend and through share buybacks. And our shareholders tend to be not some faceless institution, but pensioners, people who are either paying into pension plans or drawing down pensions. So we're rewarding them through that decision this morning. The second thing we do is we invest. We invest in the United States, in your energy system there. We're bringing on the Argos facility, a $9 billion investment this year in the Gulf of Mexico. We're increasing our investment in the lower 48 in the U.S. shale by 60% this year, up from $1 billion to over $1.6 billion. And we're investing in the U.S. in accelerating the energy transition, whether it be in fleet charging for electric vehicles or offshore wind off the east coast of the United States or in solar. So that's the second thing we do. And the third thing we do is we pay taxes. BP pays taxes in every jurisdiction that we operate in around the world, and that will continue. And obviously, when profits are higher, we pay high taxes. That's what I tell policymakers. That's what we're doing with the funds that we generate.
Let me turn around. If you were a policymaker in this moment who said to themselves, I need to get oil prices down because this is not good, not because they don't want you to have profits, Bernard, but because it flows, as you know, to everything around the world and in terms of cost. It is what is responsible in some big way for inflation. What would you do?
What I would do is do what we are doing at BP, quite frankly, and that is our job and what we call our strategy, which is to become an integrated energy company. Our job is two things. Number one, our job is to provide the world with the hydrocarbons that it needs today. It needs hydrocarbons today. It will continue to do that for some time. And our job is to help provide that with the lowest emissions possible. That's job number one. and job number two. And it's not an either or, it's an and. At the same time, we're investing in accelerating the energy transition. So that's what we need to do as a society, I think, both in the US and globally. We need to acknowledge that oil and gas is crucial to the energy system of today. We need to make sure there's sufficient investment into that so that we can get the energy trilemma sorted, which is cleaner energy, secure energy, and affordable energy. That's what we need to do. And at the same time, we can invest and will invest and are investing in accelerating that energy transition. At BP, 40% of our capital in just a few years will go into non-hydrocarbons. Right. That's up from 3% in 2019. So that's what I would encourage people to do.